Welcome to this week's episode of Lagniappe. Gathered around the rectangular round table this week, we have ...
Ashley Trice.
Scott Johnson.
Brady Petrie.
Kyle Hamrick.
Tommy Hicks.
Ashley Trice, distracted here with her phone. Probably still getting all that nappy stuff together. We'll talk about that in a minute, though, right? But it's up and going here. It's exciting times. But even more exciting times, maybe the mayoral election. You spent some time, Brady, out at Cottage Hill Baptist last night,
Singing hymns and learning about the issues.
Singing hymns, learning about issues. We had a mayoral forum, and all seven, well, let me say 6 of the 7 were there. 1 was there in spirit.
Yes.
In video.
Right.
So what'd you see? What happened?
It was interesting. I didn't really come away with anything, that I didn't initially know going into it. That's easy for me to say. I've been covering the candidates since this whole thing began.
Right.
But Barbara Drummond, Representative Drummond, was not there, but she did send in a couple of videos with her opening and closing remarks. But all the other candidates that are still in the race were there. And the way the format worked, each candidate got 2 questions, and they ranged from infrastructure to relocating Mobile Metro Jail.
But these questions had been sent to them ahead of time, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
The church had asked for the public to send in questions, and the pastor said that they took all those questions and kind of put them into each category for the topics, and then just went.
And none of them got the same question, right?
Correct.
They each got 2 questions.
Correct.
But they didn't all have to answer the same kind of question.
Yes.
Right? So,
And what I figured out was afterwards is that, the candidates knew the questions that might be asked of them, but they didn't know the exact questions
so
they were going to get.
I got you. Okay.
They were given a list of the most popular ones that
I understand.
they got.
Okay. Right.
But like I said, it was interesting, and it was also the first opportunity for a lot of candidates to really, give their voice to a lot of these issues. Because, up to, the forum last night, there hadn't been any kind of real opportunities, outside, obviously for lifelong politicians like Connie Hudson and Barbara Drummond, kind of what their stances are on a lot of these more important issues. But for those like Paul Prine and Spiro, this was a good opportunity for them to bring their voices too. And I thought Spiro had the best performance. I guess if you call it a performance during the forum. But he made a lot of sense in terms of, you got a really odd question about improving education in Mobile, and
which isn't really the mayor's bailiwick. That's not the mayor's area.
Exactly, because we don't have a city school system here.
I guess as mayor, you could push to create a city.
Yeah, and we've seen Sandy Stimpson meet with the Mobile County Public School System to address safety issues and things like that. But the question was focused more on curriculum and how you can improve that aspect. And I thought he had a great answer about wanting to make sure every child in the city gets at least 1 year of pre-K education before they go into kindergarten. So that was interesting. I was kind of, Stephen Nodine and Paul Prine kind of played their greatest hits of, wanting to beef up the police department, really hammering on public safety and things like that. It was it was an interesting night, but again, everybody pretty much stuck to what they know best, and they played the hits for the most part.
Nobody really got thrown any big curveballs in that regard. Yeah, it's nice to see. I would like to say, it's hard when you have so many people, I know, to do that, but and it probably will get, as once there is a runoff, obviously we'll have whoever the final 2 people are will be grilled at these types of things. We'll have, a little more thoroughly, and they'll have to answer more questions. But it is kind of hard to get everybody. You can't get everybody the same amount of questions, because you've got, if you give everybody 4 questions, you've got
I would still be
28 questions,
there.
right? Yeah, it's a lot. And so this morning, as we do this on Wednesday, Sandy Stimpson, Mayor Sandy Stimpson, endorsed Spiro Cheriogotis. Cheriogotis.
Like the Greek
Cheriogotis.
goddess.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm getting better at saying his last name.
Goddess.
Not a surprise to most people, but it was something that's been whispered or shouted even by some, that this is going to happen, it's going to happen, and it did. You were out there for that this morning at the Greer's grocery store downtown.
The St. Louis Market.
Yes, the St. Louis Market. owned by the Greer family,
the fancy Greers,
which I love, and I eat lunch there every day. That's my plug for Greer's. The food's great.
It is. But that hot bar is fantastic.
The salad bar is great. But anyway, we won't. We digress. But his wife is one of the member of the family, the Greer family. So, so they did it out there. Did they say anything in particular? Did the mayor say anything in particular?
There were a couple of interesting points, especially after when he talked to the media and everything. And I thought the timing of the announcement was pretty interesting. The day after the first forum, when hearing everybody, and Sandy was actually there last night.
Mayor Stimpson was there last night.
He was kind of hiding up in the balcony where everybody else wasn't allowed to go.
Do you get the feeling that he made his decision last night on who he was going to?
That's what he says, that his decision was made. He was leaning towards Spiro, but he really made his decision last night after hearing from the candidates. I can't help but feel that he had already made his decision going into last night, and it just kind of solidified it after hearing from the candidates. But
maybe that Barbara Drummond's videos could have swayed him.
Exactly, they may have, or relocating the Metro Jail to the Happy Hills community for Batiste. Maybe that would have swayed him. I don't know, but I did think one thing that was interesting that Sandy mentioned is that there's been a lot of talk that there's essentially this quid pro quo thing where Stimpson's like, if I throw my support behind you, whether it be Spiro or Connie or whoever, you keep on X number of staffers that are currently under my administration. I asked about that, and they both Spiro and Sandy denied that, saying that they haven't made any promises to any staffers. It's still a wide open thing, and if elected, he's going to go in. Spiro is, and look at who's doing their jobs, who's not, and who needs to go.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And then, one thing that hadn't really thought about up until now, the endorsement, was the sorry, I'm getting sidetracked over.
I know there's people having a different conversation.
Exactly, talking across the rectangular round table. Yes. But another thing, Spiro and Sandy kind of had a little bit of a back and forth a couple of years ago, where Spiro came out and called some of Sandy's, I guess, ranting and ravings about these criminals being allowed back on the street and being bailed out, and Spiro had called his complaints childish.
Yes,
but asked about that, and apparently they patched things up. Relationships much better now, but I do think that's an interesting dynamic. We don't see a lot of times where judges or politicians come out and call the other one childish, and then make up and endorse the other one 3 years later. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, it's that endorsement is interesting. I don't really know what it means to the race. It's hard to tell. Obviously the second you put the thing up there, Sandy's greatest detractors immediately came out there and pooped on it, and then is that the right way to say it? Is that anyway?
I think that's fair. Based on the comments that I read,
pooped on it.
Yeah, they pooped on it, and then they now of course the other candidates who've made comments, the Connie Hudson's camp was immediately very dismissive of it.
Right.
I know Jermaine Burrell wrote something. I don't know if we've gotten any other comments from others, but
we have. I'm waiting on comments from one other candidate before I post a story, but they're all along the same lines of they saw this coming.
Yeah.
They I think
saw this coming. Just the continuation of the same old,
continuing the status quo,
and who's going to be really pulling the strings. That seems to be the
I'm curious that seems to be a theme I keep hearing is some unknown puppet master is pulling the strings, and that there will be strings being pulled. I don't know that's interesting, but
when was it that Candace Cooksey went to work for his campaign?
I believe it was late February, maybe early March, something like that. Candace Cooksey has led a couple of Sandy's election
and was working for the city and took a leave of absence to go. Which that to me was obviously one of the bigger signals that probably he was going to get an endorsement, if there was going to be an endorsement, that there's definitely some synergy there. But
right, I mean, anybody you talk to in the city knows how big of a role that Candace played, in helping out Sandy with his administration and everything else. So the fact that he was willing to let her go and be a part of that campaign, kind of like you, I that was the first sign that I was like, all right, well, kind of tell where this is going.
The whole, somebody is a puppet master and going to be behind the scenes pulling the strings. I tend to think, well, I don't know how you really control that once somebody has the mayor's job. How you puppet master them, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, in the comments that I've gotten so far from the other candidates, Lawrence Batiste was the only one who didn't really go out of his way to criticize the endorsement.
Yeah.
Paul Prine said something along the lines of he doesn't come from country club money, and
but Paul doesn't.
Paul doesn't. Yeah, Paul doesn't come from country club money, and he represents the common man, that kind of thing. So, but Batiste is the only one who has not criticized the endorsement as of yet.
I mean, to me, like one of the biggest takeaways from the endorsement is that, to me, it's kind of a slam on Connie Hudson. I mean, at the most, the strongest thing is because they've worked together for years now. I mean, she has been in the county commission.
I mean, Lawrence Batiste was his chief of staff and his
public safety director. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not. I don't think Lawrence is a very serious candidate at this point. I mean, I think of him as very unlikely to make the runoff. I think Connie it's Connie and Spiro, and in my opinion, probably at this point is Barbara Drummond are the three that have the most.
I don't know. Maybe
likely
Jermaine
chance.
Burrell too. I think he'll.
I still think maybe. I mean, I'm not certainly saying he's out of the race by any stretch, but I mean, I don't think that. I mean,
he just looks like he's better organized and funded.
Yeah, and I think his issue is I think he needs to show more local support. Because if you which granted, I dive into these finance documents. Not everybody does that,
right.
But most of his money's coming from the out of state. A lot of his technology buddies that he has, and there's everything. So I mean, I think if he wants to garner up more support, it has to be here locally. I am curious about the timing of this, and granted, I don't think Connie had the best performance at the forum last night. I mean, she read a lot of stuff off of a piece of paper that she had prepared and everything. Didn't really come off as sincere. I am curious if she had a better performance, if Sandy would have delayed this announcement.
I've never seen her. I don't know. I've never seen her be a very strong extemporaneous speaker. It is, but she's never been strong at that.
I think it just magnifies it when you've got 5 other people up there.
But I think it's pretty obvious that she has wanted to be mayor for a long time and has been talking about it for a while, and has been a county commissioner for a long time and a city council person.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to say, "I don't think you're the person," that's a I mean, especially when you look at Spiro and Connie. I mean, from campaign funding wise, they're the top two,
right?
They seem to be going for that slot, if there's a slot, and I think that's something we talk about is, just the elephant in the room is in this city. I mean, the vote is racially split most of the time. And I mean, it is very much, there's a black candidate and a white candidate generally. And when I look at it, I have a hard time thinking about how, from a mathematical standpoint, I think there's a lot of concept or people keep talking about, well, there may be Spiro and Connie running against each other in the runoff. I think it's going to be a hard thing to say because, again, when you break it down, if the vote's somewhat 50-50 black and white, then there's 4 people running on the white side and
right, somebody's getting left out
on the black side, and and there's going to be it's going to not require a tremendous amount for somebody to get into the runoff. And I don't think you're going to have, you got to figure that even if Paul Prine isn't one of those top 2, he's going to draw some reasonable amount of voters. And so, I think that's going to make it much less likely that you see a Connie Hudson versus Spiro Cheriogotis runoff.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
I would say, or I think you're probably going to see one of those two in either Burrell or Barbara Drummond. That's my guess in the general. But
yeah. Hey, what other events are there lined up. Are they going to have a debate at all? Or
there's another forum coming up, I believe, on the 20th of this month. I can't remember. I think it's at Dolphin Way Methodist Church. I'm not 100% on that, but there is another forum this month. I have not heard of any official debates as of yet.
Forums are like, I don't know. It's like a cakewalk.
Well, it's also,
give me the fight, the WWE in the hexagon. Let's go.
It's just hard when you've got so many people. I do think it's tough to have a real debate. But it's
one question, and then it would take up the entire time.
It's tough. But I would be surprised if you see all 7 people make it to the election. I mean, make it onto the ballot. I don't know when they print the ballots, but it's got to be, at some point. When do you make the decision whether those people are going to be on there? We've already had one candidate drop out last week, and then, I mean, is Steve Nodine going to get a pardon? I don't know. Those things. Is Lawrence Batiste? I mean, he only raised a couple $1,000, $4,500. That's hardly enough.
Yeah.
Of course, there's not a lot of money in the race. I mean, 2 of the people are kind of sucking all the oxygen out of the room money wise.
Yeah.
And I think Barbara Drummond is now 3rd in money.
She is. Yeah. And everybody else is kind of, outside of, the top 3, Spiro, Connie, and Barbara, everybody else is trending in the opposite direction. So that money is going to dry up pretty soon for a lot of those other candidates. And so we'll see what, when they officially call it quits or where the line is.
Anyway, well, it's starting to heat up a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk with Tommy Hicks about some sports.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lagniappe Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lagniappe Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we are back with Tommy Hicks here, getting into the summer doldrums a little bit. School's ending, the things are, but there's still some stuff going on.
We still got a few things going on.
We had a local guy make his major league debut.
We did. Blaine Krim, who had played at St. Paul's and also at Mississippi College.
Baseball. He played baseball.
Played baseball. Yes. I'm sorry. Go Choctaws.
There's always one in the crowd.
He was in his 7th year in the minors.
Wow.
And finally got called up.
Is that an unusual amount of time to spend in the minors?
That's an unusual amount of time. Yeah. Usually somebody has made a decision for you or you have made the decision.
So it's not like Bull Durham. It's not like, Crash Davis is going to be there until he's 40. Not
usually. That is very rare.
Yes.
And in fact, he was entering his 3rd season at AAA.
Yeah.
And we talked to him on the phone the other day, and we have a story in this week's paper on him. Just kind of like the emotions of finally getting that phone call, and you're going up and
to the show.
They told him right before, like, batting practice and infield practice with the rest of the team around, which he said was really cool to find out with everybody, with all his friends. He calls his wife, and his wife FaceTime, their FaceTime call, and then she brings his parents onto the call, and he gets to tell them, and then his sister, and a whole kind of thing like that. The parents were actually checking into an Airbnb in Destin.
Nice.
And they just trashed it, of course, and headed back home and tried to get a flight to to Dallas. He's with the Texas Rangers.
I was going to say, who's he playing for? Rangers.
And tried to get a flight. They couldn't get one, so they just hopped in the car and drove.
Now, is he a starter? What is he?
He started the first night he got there, which was, I think, last Thursday.
I think so, yeah.
I think
how'd he do?
Right. 0 for 3, first game.
Okay.
But he started at first base, played the whole game.
All right.
Family was there. Right. Everything was
very nice.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it speaks very highly of him that had that kind of perseverance and stick around. And you finally get that call.
Is there anything in particular that got him over the hump recently?
Hitting. I mean, he was a really good hitter. He was batting better. 315 when they called him up in AAA.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
He had like 25 RBI in 28 games. That's pretty good.
All right.
So that's what they're looking for. Is they wanted to bring him up to find a little more offensive punch in their lineup that they weren't getting.
Well, good deal. Good for him. That's exciting.
That's a good
exciting story for him. We've got some Hall of Fame issues going on here.
We've had back-to-back Hall of Fames here. The Senior Bowl had their Hall of Fame reception on Sunday, and then they had their charity golf tournament on Monday, and then Tuesday night we had the Mobile Sports Hall of Fame. Speaking of baseball, Josh Donaldson, former player, was one of the 4 inductees. Ivan Maisel, sports writer, was 1, and 2 football players, Mark Barron and Rodney Hudson. That's a pretty good class.
Okay.
A good group of guys who went in last night at the banquet, and it's just kind of been that, that's award season time is going around, so we had a lot of that. John Gruden was in town. He went into the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame. And so it was interesting to talk with him. And
good deal. Yeah. And then, of course, there's some track winding up. So we got some big track news.
Janie Ford at St. Paul's has been unbelievable. She won 4 events in outdoor. She won 3 in indoor.
This is the state championships?
State championships. Yes. So she's a state champion in 4 different events in the outdoor and 3 different, I think 3, maybe 4 in the indoor. She has 20 state championships to her name. She's a senior. She's signed with Vanderbilt.
That's all? Just 20?
It just seems like it should be more.
Yeah, that's crazy.
She's a 2-time heptathlon champion for the state, where she broke the record for most points in the heptathlon both years.
Wow.
So maybe this year she only won 7 of the 8 events last year. 6 of the 7, however the number comes out.
Yeah.
Was first place in all but 1. So maybe she can get that other one this year.
Maybe so. Well, that's great. You think she may have a future?
I think so. I think we could see her in the Olympics, maybe in the heptathlon or something like that.
That would be super cool.
Really good. Yeah. Really good.
I'd love to see that. All right, man. Well, that's great. Thanks for coming by here, the old rectangular round table, and telling us a little bit about sports. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk a little more about some Nappy action. Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky. And we are back, and it is back. Nappies are back. The Nappy finals are back. The finalists are here. And you've been slaving like crazy person for the last several days.
Ballot architecture, as I like to call it.
Ballot architecture, putting all the stuff online for everybody to vote. Voting has begun today.
Yes. Began at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. If you're listening to this on Thursday.
Yes.
So hopefully all the bugs are out by now. All the last minute, can you add LLC to my business name? And all of that has been
all
fixed.
The people's misspelled names or things like that have happened because, as it is put in, people put it in themselves. I mean, there's people
in themselves.
They're nominated.
And we
folks do
go in and vet them. But I mean, it's 3,000 finalists.
Yes.
And then when, we just make sure they are alive. And that they do what they have been nominated for.
Yeah, we try to do those things. Sometimes we may not know.
Sometimes we may not know all their dark, dirty secrets.
But we find them out pretty quickly. There's always people trying to spill some tea on some of these folks.
Yes, like how dare you?
I can't believe you're letting this person be in the Nappies. They're terrible. I saw him kick their dog last week.
We're not. We're not an investigative body.
Yeah, we don't have cameras everywhere. We can't catch them.
Nor
anyway.
do we want to be.
No, not interested in that.
We don't have subpoena powers.
No,
and we also can, and we cannot.
We do investigative reporting, but not that kind. We're not
on who's the super substitute.
No. Hey, now, that's it.
But nor are we checking certifications or college transcripts or we make sure that
worried about people's love lives or any of the other things that have
they come up.
General just jerky behavior.
As I like to say, if they're that big of an a-hole as, or X, Y, or Z, abuser, a-hole, philanderer, they probably, fraud. Well, they probably will not win anyway.
Probably won't.
Yes. But we will let we will keep that in the readers'
But there are many people who are nominated. There are thousands of nominees.
It's nearly 3,000.
It's hard to collect 3,000 people together and have them all be great.
Yeah, we can't do a dossier on each.
But the Nappies, the vast majority of these Nappy nominees are fabulous people.
They are fabulous, yes.
Fabulous people and businesses and animals.
Animals, businesses.
I heard some dirt on the cutest cat, though.
Really?
I'll talk to you later about it.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there's some real catnip addiction issues.
I bet I know which one it is.
You can tell.
One that's wearing
you can tell in the photo. That's the one in the glasses. Yeah. Bloodshot eyes. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's the telltale sign. Yeah.
Well, I believe that. But you can vote for all of your favorites from now through June 1st at midnight, once per day per category at votenappies.com.
Boy, that was smooth. I like that.
And we're looking forward to a great competition this year. Lots of new categories.
Tell folks the theme if they're not paying attention or haven't been paying
in Paradise.
Yeah.
So it's a little nod to Jimmy Buffett and all kinds of tropical things. So it's going to be fun. And
we're going to try to be tropical at the Nappies this year.
Yes, it's a tropical Nappies.
Yeah, so maybe we'll all be wearing Hawaiian shirts and things like that.
I'm going to wear a tropical cocktail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tropical. Troptail.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyway. All right. So that's all I got nappy wise. But, there's some celebrity news out of Mobile. It's not always that.
Yeah, we don't usually get this,
Jay-Z
especially this level of celeb.
This is like A-list celebrity.
This isn't like,
not like a nappy.
This isn't like a Mobile celebrity like, what's his name? The Save Up guy. Killer Bees. Yeah. I mean, that's our usual level. But we got Jay-Z has filed a lawsuit here in town, right, Scott?
Yeah, if you remember when all the Sean Diddy Combs stuff was coming out in September, if you're not familiar.
Please wake up. Leave your home occasionally.
Please move the rock that's on top of you right now.
This is all related to...
You've not heard. Diddy's in trouble. Diddy in trouble. Big trouble.
It involves baby oil and...
Big trouble.
Anyway.
So if you are caught up on those things, yes.
On track. Well, Jay-Z basically is suing an Alabama woman, and
Jay-Z was accused there was some sort of ancillary accusation, right?
Yeah, he was pulled into the P. Diddy.
Yeah, in the wake of the P. Diddy, he got sucked into the wake of this thing.
Yeah, he's sucked
into the jet engine of the P. Diddy accusations.
Just like anyway.
I don't know if that terminology is correct. Anyway,
anyway, we're gonna get on track one of these days. So
one of these days.
Jay-Z has filed a lawsuit accusing the woman who accused him of raping her at 13 years old.
Back in 2000.
That was 2000.
Back in
the
2000.
VMA Awards,
25 years ago.
Yeah. This he's basically saying this is all false.
This woman says she was a 13-year-old at the VMAs and got into this whole thing where she ended up at Diddy's house and she was raped.
Yeah, allegedly raped. Yeah, and so basically he's filing a defamation lawsuit against her attorney team, some high-profile attorneys, Anthony Busby or Tony Busby. Don't know what he goes by, but he represents
Tony. I
believe it's Tony.
Yeah, yes. Tony. So he's representing Deshaun Watson.
He's representing people against Deshaun Watson, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's on that level though, and he's suing other people and
so he's sort of trolled in the wake of the Diddy thing. I believe maybe he put out ads saying, "Hey, were you Diddied by a Diddy? And were you? Did you get? I'm looking for people who had trouble with Diddy, and then this allegedly came out of that, looking for people, looking for victims.
They were as soon as the Diddy allegations came out. Allegedly, this guy just hit a huge marketing campaign nationwide, Facebook advertising, had a hotline just to try and aggregate these claims.
Right.
This one comes out of Alabama. We don't know who the woman is, and we don't know where she lives. We just know that she lives in the Southern District of Alabama, which is like a 5-county area, including Mobile. Yes. So, they get their claim and they just kind of thrust it out forward. They named Diddy right off the bat. They sue Diddy and they name Celebrity A, Celebrity B.
Right.
Well, Jay-Z says that he then gets a demand letter saying if you do not settle with us
for $10 million,
at least $10 million. It was
$10 million at least.
8-figure demand letter.
Yes.
We're gonna turn around and we're going to name you in our next amendment to our complaint. He refuses. Then they drop his name, and then the whirlwind begins.
And Celebrity B was his wife, Beyonce.
Allegedly,
right?
There was that came out was it was a world-renowned female music artist, right. Which Beyonce is the most assumed closest there. So it all hit the fan over December, but once those claims came up in December, and they did all these interviews, people started poking holes into almost all the stories. The lawyer got into a lot of legal trouble up in New York where they filed it because he's not he wasn't approved to appear in the court, and he was filing things under another attorney's credentials.
Yeah.
Got into a lot of trouble there. So basically,
and the girl allegedly, the alleged victim made claims that couldn't have been true, like that she met certain individuals at the VMAs who weren't there, and things like that,
stuff like that.
So that case got dropped, basically, right?
It fell apart.
February, yeah. So that case got dropped in February, and now Jay-Z's coming back and saying, "You guys basically what it is. He's like, you guys messed with me and libeled me and said that and cost me money."
Oh yeah,
and so
at least $20 million.
So he's coming after more than anything. It sounds like he's coming after the attorney, really.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the attorney's very, very well off. High profile in Houston.
So he's not necessarily squeezing blood from a turnip in this case. There's some money there. So I mean, although I'm sure Jay-Z has far more. I think he's a billionaire, but he's
got a little bit of money.
He's taken this seriously, clearly.
Oh yeah, so, and it's
but it's right here at home.
It's right here at home.
Yeah, I want celebrity news.
Hopefully, it'd be cool to see Jay-Z. I doubt he'd actually come down. It's one of those civil lawsuits. You just send your lawyer to go
most likely.
You,
he's probably got other things to do. But unless he gets subpoenaed for it, I mean, if they actually go to court, he probably will be subpoenaed. But you never know. Anyway, it's a fascinating story. It's one of those things that popped up yesterday, and we're like, wow, this is we don't get this kind of stuff very often. So
no, we don't.
We're here to share it with you. Well, that's all we've got for this week, folks. We will be back next week with the next episode of Lagniappe. Thanks for listening.
The Lagniappe is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniappemobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.